enemies draw near, Lord Magtheridon.
These upstarts are tiresome gnats, nothing more. The might of Magtheridon cannot be denied. I am the Lord of Outland. Those who dispute my rule will soon regret their folly.
Magtheridon has grown strong over the years, but he has had few real foes to contend with. He has become decadent and complacent. The boisterous cur cannot match our cunning or our will.
This will be a glorious battle, Master. Though Magtheridon's forces vastly outnumber ours, your warriors are prepared to fight to the end.
I am pleased by your people's zeal, young Gale. Their spirits and powers have been honed in this harsh wilderness. Their courage alone may be enough to...
Lord Illidan, new arrivals come to greet you.
We Draenei have fought the Orcs and their demon masters for generations. Now at last, we will end their curse forever. We are yours to command, Lord Illidan.
As I promised, your people shall have their vengeance, Akama. By night's end, we will all be drunk with it. Bash, Gale, give the final order to strike. The hour of wrath has come.
Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome back to Let's Play Warcraft 3: The Frozen Throne. Today we have the final mission of the Alliance campaign ahead of us. It is a multi-pronged mission, one where we're going to be fighting on multiple fronts, so you know these are always good. And this is the best one yet, because we have 3 distinct groups. There is no resource management, no base building in this one. There will be gold coins that each hero can pick up, but they're finite. So you really have to carefully consider what units you're making and for which group. You have your distinct, discrete Naga group, and then you have Illidan and the Blood Elves. And they're pretty much split right down the middle. Well, you also have a Kama's group, and they're on Illidan's half of the map, but they are... You're not going to be reinforcing them. They have a distinct purpose here, which is to sneak their way through the various Fel Orc bases and disable these generators. And by disabling the generators, you take out the power source for the infernal siege engines that are posted in front of each base. Meanwhile, with the Naga group, you have a lot of traversal of the water, a lot of fighting off like naval units, like these boats in the dockyard, and then making your way up onto land, and also doing small base assaults with Vash. Her like Myrmidon Royal Guards and a couple of units that you can produce out of the right side base. And these are the gold coins I was talking about. Occasionally you'll pick them up out of caches, or certain elite enemies will drop them. They give 250 gold a pop. And they are basically one of your only ways of getting gold in this mission. So again, you have a finite amount of resources, a finite amount of units you can produce. We're going to take Illidan's group on the left over here and drive them far left at the bottom side of the map, or the bottom left side of the map. And we're going to come across a kind of nifty Easter egg by doing this. This is a totally optional path. You don't actually have to take them.
I grow impatient.
Over here, just want to make sure we're not losing any of our casters, since some of them accidentally ended up on the front lines while we were going here.
Is that all?
Got backstabbed by a couple of raiders that were coming out from the green base.
You dare.
And check that out, it is the Butcher, with Wart's other leg behind him. So before we aggro the Butcher, we're going to take this group up north a little bit.
Watch and learn.
And try to pull some of these Eridar.
Very clever.
There's also a lot of gold up here, which will be useful. We're taking this path. Also, we'll get a nice drop from the Butcher. And it's just nice to come across him. The Butcher, of course, being from Diablo. Love that inclusion. We had the Hydralisk for, back in the Reign of Chaos Night Elf campaign, I believe. As a StarCraft send-up, and now the Butcher for some Diablo love in here.
Our will shall be done.
And while they're taking care of business, we'll take the Naga up to the purple base and just try to control some fights across multiple fronts. The nice thing is that you're pretty free to control the pace of this mission. You aren't overly time pressured. You will occasionally deal with some raiding parties coming out from either base.
Is that all?
But you're not on a clock. So you aren't
patient.
You're only spread as thin as you put yourself.
Fresh meat.
That line used to be terrifying back in the day, back in Diablo 1.
I'm blind, not
Shit,
deaf.
he dodged that whole banished flame strike. I have to watch Illidan. Might actually have to pop Metamorphosis for this, which I would prefer not to, but Butcher hits really goddamn hard, and he is so tanky.
I'm blind, not deaf.
Yeah, definitely have to pull him out of there.
Speak to me.
Not sure if I want to meta. He is going to kill some units, though, so I have to make this worth it. But if you want to go and take one group and fight one base at a time and then kind of go off to the other group and take another base, you don't have to micro on multiple fronts if you don't want to. But it's really fun if you do. Let's see, I see Illidan's health is fine. The rest of the army, we can replenish that, okay.
You dare speak to me.
Oh, and he drops the resurrection rune, so even if we did lose a hefty amount of stuff, actually got to replenish decently, and we get that stone token. What's the other leg? I don't think actually does anything. It's just a nice flavor thing. And the manual of health.
Forces are under attack.
So let's talk about some more lore. Let's go back to the lore corner. We are here in Outland, aka Draenor. Now, I keep getting these mixed up because of WoW, so I've been back and forth. I finally decided to look this up so I can be sure this time. This is supposed to be the Orc homeworld, which I never knew before. But I'm gonna trust the wiki here, even though that doesn't sound quite right. This is supposed to be the Orc homeworld, and what has always confused me is this. This is the place that the Draenei fled to. Which is confusing because I think that's a very large detail that was added specifically in WoW, and as best anyone can tell from Warcraft 3, the Draenei...
Many of the Orcs' demonic siege weapons. We must crush the compound's defenders and claim the weapons for our own.
Cool, Illidan, thanks. We definitely have been doing that already. As best anyone can tell from this game that we are playing right now, the Draenei are supposed to be the natives here, which makes sense because it's fucking called Draenor. But whatever. Whatever.
Yes, surface dweller.
Is it time?
So Ner'zhul, Gul'dan, the other orcs that we know of from primarily Warcraft 1 and 2, they open a bunch of dimensional portals, some of which we closed in the recent missions. They were held by the demons of the Legion and yada yada. Those portals tore Draenor apart, turned it into Outland, what we know as Outland. The Dark Portal is the one, the primary one that led the orcs from Draenor here to Azeroth, which sets up, again, Warcraft 1 and Warcraft 2. And the Burning Crusade WoW expansion, but more on that in a little bit. So, here's the other thing about the Burning Crusade, and how they recontextualize everything as of WoW. So like I said, the Draenei are non-natives to Draenor. They fled their homeworld when the Legion came from them. Their original homeworld is a place called Argus. And here is where shit is gonna become very dumb, and I'm very excited.
Forces are under attack.
By your command.
We have glossed over the Titans up until now. We've mentioned them, and trust me, this whole talk, this whole tangent will circle back around. By the way, this is the first time we are actually gonna unite our troops by flame striking the giant mushroom trees and letting the Naga cross over. So the Titans are godlike beings who go around shaping life across the cosmos in this mythos. Sargeras
I grow impatient.
is really the only time the Titans have come up in this LP, because Sargeras was one of them before he went rogue and formed the Burning Legion.
I'm blind.
Well,
not
at
deaf.
some point,
Is it time?
maybe in Legion or possibly Warlords of Draenei, sometime in WoW's long 15 years of history, they decided to expound upon how Titans are born, and in doing so, things get real weird. So some planets have souls.
Hardly a challenge.
Let me repeat that. Some planets have literal souls that require like millennia to nurture and gestate, and then these are called world souls. When a world soul reaches maturation, a Titan is born. That's how Titans come into existence. So basically it went Big Bang. Bunch of planets have world souls for some reason. World souls mature based on, I guess they feed off of the primal elementals, who are the only life on unshapen planets that are not seeded by the Titans. They just have elementals. Titans are born from the planet's world soul. And Azeroth has one. That's kind of one of the things that makes Azeroth special. Draenor, I don't believe, had one. Argus also had a world soul. The initial reason for the Burning Legion's existence is tied to a thing that we will see in the next campaign, and we will come back to this topic. But suffice to say, Sargeras was a good boy. Then he saw a bad thing happening to a planet with a world soul, and he thought, well, the greater good here is to destroy the planet, and he literally cut the planet in half. He swung a sword and cut a planet in half. And then he went, I should do this more often, and created the Burning Legion to scour all world souls, because, oh no, bad thing could happen to them too. Which doesn't make any fucking sense, because Sargeras and the demons, the Legion, they are not sympathetic at all. They are never, ever, ever portrayed that way. Outside of, written text lore things that you find in random places in WoW, like the Dungeon Journal and shit, or extended universe novels. But have we seen any demons throughout this game? If you play WoW, have you seen demons in WoW that make you think, oh, wait, they might have a point. They're sympathetic. They believe in their cause. They think their cause is righteous. Have you ever thought any of these things?
What's the holdup?
I'll give you a second to think about that. But the answer is fucking no. No. They're just straight up comic book villain evil, which is fine for the story they tell in Warcraft 3. They don't need to be more than the big bad villain that causes everyone to unite. This is not Thanos doing something unspeakably horrible, but behaving like a person with kind of a believable motivation for that appalling thing, and more importantly, an internal belief that he is making a sacrifice to bring about a better universe. The problem here is the Legion is just straight up evil. And then retcon to have some motivation in WoW, which still doesn't make sense, because even in WoW, they're still just evil-ass demons who love when people suffer. Nobody's like, it sucks we have to murder all life on dozens of planets, but it's gotta be done, otherwise something terrible, something even worse could happen. It's all like, whoa, drown in your own blood, weak mortals. Let me inhale the stink of your last dying breath so that I may climax to your torment. It's like, fuck. No! There is no sympathy. It does not exist. So anyway, back to Argus! Yeah! I told you we would circle back, but that aside was necessary. Let's go back to Argus. Argus is a world soul. This is why I set all that bullshit up. Just to say that Argus is a world soul. But the bad thing that Sargeras saw on this unnamed planet is not happening to Argus. It's the world soul is going unmolested on this planet. So he goes, cool, I want that power. And he goes over to Argus. Now, who is on Argus at the time? The Draenei. Do you know who the Draenei on Draenor are? Rather, who their leaders are. It's a dude named Velen. That's one of the rulers. The other two are Archimonde and Kil'jaeden. The Legion demons, the ones that we've been seeing, the major villains of the story here. The Eridar. What are they doing on Argus? Well, Velen, Archimonde, and Kil'jaeden are all Draenei. Sargeras shows up, offers them all immense power, and the latter two accept. But this... fucking goddamn it, wow. A glowing wind chime. A being from a race known as the Naru shows up and gives Velen a horrible prophecy where the Draenei are enslaved as genocidal demons. So the Draenei who stick around become demons called the Eridar. That's where we're getting the Eridar from. Kil'jaeden and Archimonde chief among them. Boom, that's the Eridar. Why don't Akama and the other Draenei that we've seen look anything like them? We'll get to that. But anyway, back to Velen. This is so fucking stupid. Velen's like, nah. And he takes a bunch of his people and he flees Argus. They wind up on what is known as Draenor now, where we are in this instance, in this campaign. They wind up on Draenor, and they're getting fucked up by pissed off orcs, and then the planet basically starts exploding because of the assholery of said orcs and their dimensional gateways. Oh, and because of, demonic influence and the conditions of the planet, some of the Draenei become malformed. These are the broken. They are still Draenei, though. Akama and his group are the broken. That's why they don't look like space goats, like the Eridar and the original Draenei. So that happens, and Velen goes, nah. And he takes a bunch more of his non-broken Draenei and flees again. And this time, their intergalactic spaceship, the Exodar, crashes on Azeroth, and everything was very not cool from then on. But they join the humans and the Night Elves and the Dwarves anyway. Now, I'd like to point out 99% of this bullshit that I just said is WoW's bullshit. In Warcraft 3, what we know about the Draenei is they appear to be natives of this planet, and they're sick of getting bullied by orcs. Okay. Done. Simple, to the point. So Illidan shows up, helps them out. Akama immediately swears fealty to him, and they help him, as we're doing now, overthrow the demons who are controlling this temple. It's an old Draenei temple called the Temple of Karabor. That's where we are now. This later becomes known as Black Temple in the Burning Crusade, the penultimate raid of the Burning Crusade. Warcraft 3 is not like a brilliant, transcendent, deep piece of fiction. It's pretty silly at times, but it understands its own limitations. It keeps the storytelling relatively simple. It focuses on sympathetic characters with reasonable motivations, banding together against a larger series of threats, which is just characterized by being straight up pure evil. It doesn't actually go out of its way to make the larger threats, like the demon threats, they don't try to portray them as sympathetic. And they don't ever try to run that back. They're just straight evil. Arthas, as a villain, is a lot more interesting in that regard. He's where they try to go and introduce some shades of gray and some nuance. But the greater point that I'm trying to make is it's very simple storytelling. And it's effective because of how simple it is. It doesn't become turgid. It doesn't try to, like... Oh, man. It builds on the universe that began in Warcraft 1 and 2. It expands on that, but it doesn't bloat out like a character in, like, a Vor drawing. It's just, again, simple storytelling. Simple, effective storytelling. And that was kind of what characterized a lot of Blizzard's games. Like, you could say the exact same thing about StarCraft and Brood War and Diablo 1 and Diablo 2. And then it gets a lot more convoluted and sloppy in an attempt to like, I don't know, reach some kind of depth as of like, WoW. And then their other games suffer very similar problems. StarCraft 2 and all of its expansions are not fantastically written. Diablo 3 is horribly written. And they lose simplicity on all of those.
Only Magtheridon and his lackeys stand before us.
They try to push the boundaries of the mythology of those respective series way too far. And they just wind up being kind of terrible and laughable. And they lose all of their effectiveness in trying to flesh these characters out into something that they are definitely not. They are not complex, deep characters or stories. And they don't need to be. Now, that being said, I do like WoW a lot. The writing is shit, but I like it a lot. I've also been thinking about WoW a lot recently because Arth got me back in, and I'm actually really enjoying Legion, dumb writing stuff aside. Oh shit! So yeah, dumb writing stuff! Suramar is in Legion. Now, you might not remember Suramar, but it's something that Maiev remarked upon. It's one of the ruins that we come across in Maiev's campaign. She utters the name like one time, I think. They are just the ruins we come across. The whole Broken Isles is the setting of Legion. And Argus. But yeah, every raid in the Burning Crusade, WoW's second expansion, is rooted here. Every single one of them except for Karazhan and Gruul's Lair. And you could even argue Karazhan to an extent, even though that's more of like a larger overarching Warcraft thing culminating, because that's Medivh's tower. And Medivh has played a pretty critical role throughout Warcraft.
Is that all?
Gruul and the Gron and all that shit, that, I don't even know. That just came up because they wanted an extra raid with like 2 bosses in it. But, I
will do what I can.
Serpent Shrine Cavern, Tempest Keep, Black Temple, the Caverns of Time, Mount Highjaw, raid, even Sunwell Plateau, and Magtheridon's Lair. All of this stuff, it came about as a direct result of Warcraft 3 and what we are doing pretty much right now in this particular campaign. Also, Vanilla and Wrath are just direct follow-ups to Warcraft 3. And I cannot believe I fit all of this in the confines of this one mission. Man. Oh, there's gonna be a part 2 of this at some point soon. That's gonna get wild as shit. I didn't silence the Blade Master with a Staff of Negation that Akama has in time. That is my favorite item in this whole mission, by the way. I didn't get to talk about this enough. The Staff of Negation that Akama gets, it's a targeted AoE silence, which prevents the Blade Master from splitting off and so many other nasty things from happening. Now Magtheridon, now that we're finally here, is an enormous tank. He is a hard-hitting tank. So we are going to lose a lot here, but we also did a really good job of preserving units leading up to this point and having a nearly maxed out army coming into Mag. Like, look how hard he's hitting these tanky Myrmidons and killing Akama, who should be resurrecting. Oh, no, he already used this resurrection earlier. It's my bad.
My people must be.
This is okay. We can lose heroes at this point. That is not a requirement. His HP regens so much. He's got 5-digit health. But did a good job, though.
I do not know you, stranger, but your power is vast. Are you an agent of the Legion? Have you been sent to test me?
I have come to replace you. You're a relic, Magtheridon. A ghost of a past age. The future is mine. From this moment on, Outland and all of its denizens will bow to me. Hear me now, you trembling mortals. I am your lord and master. Illidan reigns supreme.
What is this, Marsh? Where did this storm come from?
Keep your head down, fool. Something terrible is drawing near.
Foolish little mongrel. You failed to destroy the frozen throne as I commanded. And still you thought to hide from me in this forsaken backwater. I thought you to be more cunning.
Jaden, I was merely sent back. I was attempting to bolster my forces. The Lich King will be destroyed. I promise you.
Still, these servitors you've gathered show some promise. I will give you one last chance, Illidan. Destroy the frozen throne, or face my eternal wrath.
Perhaps hiding here was not the most prudent decision. Still, the quest lies before us. Will you follow me into the cold heart of death itself?
The Naga are yours to command, Lord Illidan. Where you go, we follow.
The Blood Elves are yours as well, Master. We will drive the Scourge before us and shatter the frozen throne as you command.
We got one more campaign left in the Frozen Throne, and that is the Undead campaign. We will start that next time. Thank you all for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe, and all that good stuff. Take it easy. Have a good one.